An elastic IP address is a public IP address that's reachable over the internet. You allocate an elastic IP to your AWS account and you can keep it for as long as you want. Elastic IPs, or EIPs, are assigned to AWS resources that you want to be accessible over the public internet. For example, you might assign or associate an elastic IP to an EC2 instance. Technically speaking, the elastic IP is associated with the instance's elastic network interface, or ENI. The elastic IP will remain associated to the ENI until you disassociate it or until the ENI is deleted. Even if you stop or reboot the instance, the EIP will still be associated with it. You can move an EIP around to different ENIs, but it can be associated with only one ENI at a time. If you associate an EIP to an instance that already has an automatically assigned public IP address, AWS will replace the public IP address with the EIP. If people are connected to that instance using its public IP address, they are going to lose connectivity once the instance gets assigned the elastic IP address. So be very careful about assigning an EIP to an instance that's actively being used. Elastic IPs come in two flavors: Amazon-owned and customer-owned. An Amazon-owned elastic IP is tied to an AWS region. When you allocate an elastic IP, AWS picks the address for you. It does not give you any choices. It's not like when you get a cell phone, you get to pick from a list of phone numbers. What you get is what you get. It is possible, however, to use your own IP addresses by transferring public IPs that you own into your AWS account. These are called customer-owned EIPs. You can then selectively associate your customer-owned EIPs with your AWS resources in whatever way you see fit. All right, in this demo, we're going to allocate an Amazon-owned elastic IP address. This might not sound very exciting, but it is going to be an important step for when we start building out our VPC. So please load up your favorite terminal where you have the AWS CLI installed, and we'll get started. The command to allocate an elastic IP address is ridiculously easy. AWS EC2 allocate-address. The output tells us the public IP address, 44.210.22.66. It also gives us an allocation ID. You can then associate the address with an EC2 instance or other VPC resource. Now, if your elastic IP address is not associated with a running instance, it will incur a small hourly charge. To avoid this charge, you can release the elastic IP address, and to do that, you just do an AWS EC2 release-address, 2 dashes, allocation-ID, followed by the allocation ID, which you can just take here, copy it, and then paste it, and then go and execute that. And if you get no output, that is a sign that AWS did release the EIP. Of course, I always like to verify by doing an AWS EC2 describe-addresses. And we have no elastic IP addresses allocated. AWS does charge you for elastic IP addresses, so remembering these commands can help you quickly view your allocations and release any that you are not using.